Hey everyone, you're watching The Esperanza 243. I apologize for not putting a video up. There are two main reasons. One, my recording sessions have been totally messed up, and it's mainly because of the resolution. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to put these video up in 480p, there's just no chance I can do it. Otherwise, the video is going to look really choppy. And two, I moved out of my mom's house. I got accepted to the public housing, as I probably have been telling you guys that I've been waiting to get into. And it's just so exciting. Maybe I should just show you guys my room. Or my apartment. So cool. Just a quick scan. I'm not going to show you everything. Kitchen. Desk. Chest with the TV in the living room area. Windows, which shows the parking garage outside. And of course my bedroom area. Still got a lot of boxes to unpack, but hey. And I apologize if you're getting dizzy because I tend to be shaky when I'm moving the camera. Just to let you guys know, this is Long Live Menavia Part 9. So let's do a little recap of what happened in Part 8. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. Part 8, a recap of Part 8. Caprice had finished her last day of traveling. She found a kind senior woman who helped her find Senor Baldwin. And so she gets her first impression of Senor Baldwin. Not to mention finding out the relationship between him and the kind senior woman, whose name is Narcissa. I love that name. And here we go. Pourquoi me rendre visite? Oh, that's a no. Pourquoi me rendre visite? He asked. He paused. Où est votre mail? That was when her eyes filled with tears. His eyes widened. My mother died, she whispered. Senor Baldwin gasped. Her last wishes were to come here and to see you. He stared at her. Where are you from? He was shocked to discover her mother dead. I'm from Meltrova. He and Narcissa widened their eyes. That is over a week away. It took me a week and a day to get here, she told him, agreeing with what he said. She pulled out the envelope Marie gave her. This is for you. I assume Mother wanted me to give it to you. I'm hoping you'll be able to tell me. As she spoke, he decided to observe her. She has done well for traveling that long, he thought to himself. Then he saw the locket. What a pretty thing, you see. Wait a minute. That is a pretty locket, he said. May I see it? Caprice hesitated. I would feel better if you took the envelope first, she replied. After all, it is why I'm here. He sighed and took the envelope. He even looked at it carefully and noticed a seal, which was fixed somehow. It was the royal seal of Menavia. He gasped. Why would this envelope have the royal seal? He thought to himself. He opened the envelope and saw there were 2 sets of papers. He took out one and read it. It was a letter from her adopted mother, saying that she raised her well. She also wrote that if he was reading the letter, it meant she and her husband were dead. They did their best to raise a royal princess. She was ready to be fully trained. If he did not believe their child was from Menavia, he was to read the letter enclosed. Senor Baldwin widened his eyes. He quickly pulled out the other letter and read it. He couldn't believe his eyes. He looked at Caprice. You lock it. May I see it? Please. Her eyes widened as she took it off nervously and placed the locket in his opened hand. She watched him looking it over carefully, opening it with his fingernails. His eyes widened when he saw the picture. He looked inside the locket carefully. Senor Baldwin noticed the etching on the left heart of the locket. He tried shining it in the light, but away from anyone who could possibly see the etching. I love you, Louisa, he thought to himself. Well, the rumors were true. She is a princess of Menavia. Thank you, Senor Chevalier. He closed the locket, and gave it back to her. What is your name, young lady? He asked. She widened her eyes. I never gave him my name, and I gave out the envelope and locket, she thought. She mentally kicked herself. My name is Caprice, she said. He smiled. Then he shook his head and put the letters back in the envelope before anyone could see them. After that, he turned the envelope over so no one would see the royal seal. I apologize for my behavior. I shall need to speak to you at my house. Would that cause inconvenience to you? She shook her head. He looked at his good friend. Narcissa, je vous remercie pour ce que portes sont pour moi, he said. She nodded and left the social place. French translation, Narcissa, thank you for bringing her to me. She nodded and left the social place. He got up and paid for his drink. Then he looked at Caprice. Sir, are we really to go to your house? I don't even know you. He chuckled. Ah, but I don't know you either, he fibbed. They headed out of the social place. How did you get to Menavia? I came by chase. Did you have any trouble getting here? She shook her head. As far as directions, no. I did have a few run-ins with strangers. Oh, whoops. He widened his eyes. Were any of them violent? She shook her head. The second run-in was a bit frightening, but thankfully my first run-in was helpful. Someone taught me a few things about defending myself. She stopped walking. They were already at her chase. Senor Baldwin became curious. Defending? You can fight now? She chuckled and shook her head. No. She paused. Well, slightly. I have a dagger. 2 daggers, actually. One is for hunting, although I never really learned how to hunt. It was quiet for a while. Senor Baldwin sighed. It certainly is good to know you can defend yourself. Shall we find your chaise and head to my house? She smiled. This is my chaise, right here. He looked at it and was surprised. The chaise was longer than he thought, with 4 wheels. It had no roof or high walls. It did have some way of protecting her from the sun. The seat was only big enough for 2 people. She saw him blink nervously. Caprice blushed in embarrassment. "I didn't want a buggy that was big. I intended on bringing only a luggage bag and shopping bag. The extra weight of a bigger buggy would have slowed me down." He sighed. You are quite right. Let's go, shall we?" This might actually be doable. These walls are kind of thin. Kinda. "You came quite prepared, Miss Caprice," Signor Baldwin said. "I seem to have underestimated you." He gave her an impressed look. She grinned sheepishly. "Signor, it may look like that, but I have no idea what to do. Now that I'm here, where am I to stay? How long should I stay? What do I do to keep myself busy? Or to keep myself occupied?" She felt lost and alone in Inra, but she also felt empty after entering his big house. It showed, too. His house was 2 stories tall and looked very elegant. Inside the house looked more like it fit for a lord of knighthood. "I understand," he replied. Caprice became shocked. Whoa. "I was thinking on the same line as we conversed on our way here." She stared at him. "I do not know how much money you have, so I have a suggestion." He paused. "My home is at your service, should you wish to stay here." He bowed his head politely as he said so. "You shall stay as long as you please." Caprice was still staring at him. Her mouth dropped and her body shuddered. "Miss Caprice, are you well?" She shook her head out of daze and faced away from him. "How should I know you won't do anything to me?" He shook his head in shock and stared at her. "Why, Miss Caprice, you misunderstand," he cried. "I am offering you a place to stay. No one except Narcissa knows why you have come." She gave him a surprised look. "I shall not harm you in any way." Did I just say that in the first way? He gave her a look to prove he was serious. She became hesitant. She looked him in the eyes with uncertainty. Without a doubt, she could see in his eyes that he was sincere. Caprice sighed. "Thank you, sir." Signor Baldwin sighed of relief. "I would feel more comfortable staying in a hotel." He gasped. With her wearing a straight face with all of her courage, she looked a lot like her birth mother. "Miss Caprice, I don't think that's a good idea. He caught himself, realizing he was about to speak of her mother. She became shocked of his reaction, especially after he stopped talking. He cleared his throat and sighed through his nose. "You are brave." Caprice suddenly became confused. "I understand where you are coming from, but if you stay out of this house or a hotel room for too long, something bad could happen to you." In fear, shivers crawled all over Caprice's body. Something bad could happen. To me? But how? Why? "You look a lot like the princess." Her eyes widened. A long time ago, a feud broke out in the royal family. No one knows whom with, but someone wanted to be the next heir in line of succession. After the feud started, the royal relative was kicked out in some way that he would never be the next heir until it is his turn. Needless to say, he was furious and swore that he would be the prince sooner than they thought. Signor Baldwin sighed as a thought came to Caprice. Is he the prince now? I do not think so. I don't know who it was. He continued explaining what happened. About 14 years ago, there was a riot. The young girl's eyes widened again. Whoever was in charge of placing the food in the market was giving rotten food to the people. He swore he never did it. Someone must have slipped it in when I wasn't looking, he said. Spoiled food continued coming in for months and then years. Soon people started talking. A riot was planned. He sighed. After the riot, the prince and princess were claimed dead. Caprice gasped. No one found their bodies, so people assumed they escaped. Thankfully, one of their loyal subjects, a Senor Chevalier, spoke up and claimed their death. If the prince and princess escaped, I'm sure they are still alive. He stopped. He wasn't sure what to say if they were dead. That is sad, she whispered. Then she remembered something. If they are gone, wouldn't their eldest son be next in line? The prince and princess never had children. He paused. Although I do recall hearing rumors before the riot that the princess was pregnant. He tried to remember. Either that or she was getting fat. He shook his head. I cannot remember. Then who's ruling Menavia now? She wondered with concern. Signor Baldwin sighed. The brother of the princess started ruling Menavia soon after the riot died down. He's no Mariona or Frederic, but he has been doing pretty well for the past 14 years. He is doing much better after he married. It was quiet for a while. Finally, Caprice spoke up. I would still feel more comfortable if I stayed in a hotel. He sighed. He took his coin bag and pulled some coins out. You would best change currency. I know Meltrova and Menavia are connected to French currency, but things are a bit different here. He then gave her the coins. She accepted them quietly. Thank you, Signor Baldwin, she said. I appreciate you helping me. She was about to stand, but Signor Baldwin stopped her. And that is where I'll stop. Conveniently. Why did that pop in my head? Anyways, I gotta show you guys this. My mom gave me a housewarming gift, but it's basically because I sent an email out to some of my family members saying I want something from a particular site, the NaNoWriMo. And if you guys are not familiar with that, I'm sure I told you guys about this last year. I am part of NaNoWriMo. It's short for National November Writing Month. And since November has started, I'm using an old idea I had, or have. I've been working on it for a couple years, but finally, I'm going to give myself to use that idea for this month because I really want the book finished. And actually, it's going pretty good. Anyways, the housewarming gift is a NaNoWriMo poster. And Mom gave me the idea of posting a line or two every day for the month of November, which is a great idea, and I enforced it yesterday. So if any of you are Facebook friends with me, check it out, because I'll be posting 1 or 2 quotes every day from this poster. Really exciting. And I never, for my NaNoWriMo book this year, I never did figure out the title, but after some thinking and looking at other books that I have read, you know, titles and whatnot, I have decided on an awesome title. Once again, it's ironic, and once again, it's just something from inside the book that's just completely, oh, that one word. I don't know what the second reason is. Anyways, I'm naming the book Kidnapping's a Virtue. Kidnapping is a virtue. So that's going to be exciting. I'm going to change the title on my NaNoWriMo page of what the title is. I'm so excited. I mean, my total word count right now is pretty high, but I'm still behind on the word count according to the NaNoWriMo month. So today I'm hoping I can try to catch up on that after I do my homework, which my homework is super late, 2 days late. I haven't been able to work on it these past 2 weeks, so hopefully I can finish it today before I start working on the NaNoWriMo book, I should say. Anyways, I guess I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoy your day. This is DS Bronze 243, signing out.
Rock and stone. I embrace what others fear. You are not to roam in this forgotten